So, and first of all, Anupama, thank you, and the team, thank you for your patience, and thank you for the heartful introduction about myself. So let me start. Okay, give me a minute to open the PowerPoint because I just restarted my whole application. Right. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. Just let me know you can see it. Let me know if you can see the screen. Hello?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So let's get started. And once again, good afternoon, everyone. Warmly welcome to Hearts Academy. And I'll be super excited to talk about Agile for Value Delivery. And thank you, Hearts Academy, for giving me this opportunity to talk about something really close to my heart. And before we get started, I like to ask from the audience, how are you feeling after listening to those two amazing speeches from Michael, from Jeevan? How are you feeling right now? How are you feeling? I'm feeling really excited and inspired. And most importantly, I feel that I'm at the right place, talking to right people on a right topic that's going to be really matter to you. So let's get started, right? Okay. So I'm going to dedicate this talk to people gathered here with brave hearts. Why I call the brave hearts is because you are here because you care about agile. You have joined this track because you care about agility, and from the both the speakers, right, Michael and Jeevan, we know the world is changing at exponential rate, and while this exponential change is happening, we are attempting to uncover better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others to do it. Okay, so that is where the bravery comes. It's not easy. It's not easy, right? So my respect to all those brave hearts that who loves, you care about, and want to be agile more and more in your lives as well as in your teams and organizations. Okay, right. So in next 40 minutes, we already took about 5 to 6 minutes, I believe. So in next 40 minutes, I'm trying to focus on three areas. That is, what does it mean to deliver value in Agile? What does it mean to deliver value in Agile? And dealing with risk of delivering value in VUCA world. We all want to deliver value, but the value comes with a risk as well. So how do we deal with this risk of delivering value in highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world? And then in an example, how we deliver the true essence of incremental delivery with an example, probably the best example that I could give at this point of time. So these are the three areas. But the most important thing is this talk is not about I am talking. It's more about you are engaging and you are learning. So I know that I can't see your faces, but I'm sure that you are with us in front of the computer and mentally here with us. So would love to see your opinions coming, your questions coming, right? So I will be time to time asking from Anupama if they have any questions or any opinions, and love to see them. Okay, right. So let's get started with the first focus area. What does it really mean to deliver value in Agile? What does it really mean to deliver value in Agile? Right? Well, everyone talk about speed. Undoubtedly, speed is one important value that we all need, right? We talk about accelerating go to market and all these things, right? So speed is important. But I'm just curious, and I would like even to hear from you, why in Agile Manifesto or in Scrum? Scrum is the most famous Agile framework, where there are many other frameworks are there. If you do a word search, okay, you will never find this word, speed, either in Agile Manifesto or the most globally recognized Agile framework, Scrum Guide. If you do a word search, you don't find the word speed. If you like, you can share in the chat. Why do you think that is the case? Why do you think that is the case? Was it that accidentally happened, or have they not even take care of the most important things that matter to us in the market? Or was there a particular reason behind that? I would like to think for a minute and share your thoughts in the chat or Q&A. Why in Agile Manifesto or in the Scrum Guide, you can't find the word speed, or even accelerate, you can't find. Isn't that a surprising matter? Anupama, do we have any opinions coming in the chat, please?
Still not.
Okay, okay. Right. So why do you think, okay, let's see if you have any. We'll wait for maybe a couple of seconds. If not, I will share. Is a reason. Okay, actually, there is a reason. Now, of course, we need speed. There is no doubt about it. But if you go at an incredible speed, there is a chance that you may also crash down, right? There's also a chance that you may crash, right? So that's something you need to be really care about, okay? Because sometimes at an incredible speed, you may also can crash down, or you may land up in a place that you do not desire, right? Your customers not desire. And that's why instead of word speed, it's not the speed is not important. There are things that could be more important, right? Instead of speed, there are more important things. That's why you might find continuous delivery more than speed, continuous delivery, and you may also see sustainable pace, right? You may see, instead of speed, you may see a sustainable pace and cadence, that is working to a common rhythm, right? These are the things that you may see in Scrum Guide or Agile Manifesto. Why? Because beyond speed, there are things that we may really want to have from an Agile project over a traditional way of working. Okay, right. Now, let's try to understand when it say, what does it really mean to deliver value in Agile? Of course, we talked about speed is important. What else? What else? Now that invite me to think about this question from you. I'm going to place this question from you. I'm sure that you have been to zoo. Okay, I'm sure that you have been to zoo. And at least once in a life, I'm sure that you also have been to safari, right? Either if you're in Sri Lanka, maybe in Yala or in Velpattu, you must have been to a safari. Now, I would like to ask from you which one you prefer, which experience that you prefer. Now, even before you answer, I'm going to say the intention of this question is not to say one option is better than the other, or you must choose one option than the other. But I'm like to hear the preferences and the reason behind those preferences. So let's give a minute to see. Let's give a minute to see. What do you prefer more? Going to the zoo or going to the safari? What experience, what you prefer, and what's the reason behind that? Let's see if we get Any answers? Would love to hear that. Okay, I stop share for a moment, and because I love to see your faces as well and see if there are any questions coming. Safari. Okay, okay, we see certain things. Safari rides, safari. Christine, and yeah, there are a couple of, thank you so much. Right, Yala Safari, Tushar, Sanjeevan, beautiful. So what makes it important? What makes it that preference? Yes, what you might like to share? What is the real reason behind that? Okay, the experience. Okay, beautiful. Spotting a leopard will give an excitement. Exactly. Rather than seeing them through a cage, right? It gives much more pleasure, excitement to see them over a real experience, right? Safari, because like to see them in natural environment. Exactly, right? So coming back to, I'm going to share my screen once again. Right. Okay, I'm back in the presentation. I hope you can see, right? Exactly.
Yes.
I'm not going to see. Hello. I hope you
Yeah.
can see. Yes.
Yes. Janani.
Okay. Right. So, as you can see, I'm not going to say zoo is bad. Okay. Because if you ask me tomorrow, I might really ask, would you like to go to zoo tomorrow? Tomorrow being weekend, or the safari? I might say zoo because why? Tomorrow it's going to be a really busy day for me, and I don't have much time to really prepare. And zoo is a little cheaper also, so easily accessible. So I might choose zoo. I'm not saying that's bad, okay? But think about the intention and the need. If I'm look for a cheaper, easier, convenient option, I would definitely go and find zoo, right? But if I'm look for experience, the value, right? The meaning, the growth and freedom and all this experience, I would definitely choose safari, right? So that is where is the most important thing is that how agile delivery is unique from traditional delivery. Because whole point, when you are pitching agile for a customer, right, the most important thing is that the fundamental difference from agile delivery to the traditional is that agile shift their focus from project, which is more like cage, no, the fixed scope, fixed timeline, fixed budget. Yeah, sounds very nice, no, isn't it? Everything is there, everything is fixed, but sounds very nice, quite easier, quite cheaper. That experience is different, whereas in agile it shifts from those projects to products to offer solutions and experiences that is valuable to the customer, right? I'm not saying the zoo is bad. I'm not saying traditional delivery is bad, because that could be the choice of some customers, right? Because most of the customers are really, really busy. And when you are busy and you need a cheaper solution, waterfall may be an option. But if you're looking for a growth, when you are looking for an experience, what you are looking at is agile. You should be able to help your customers to understand what are your intentions and help them to choose the right option. We really need to understand this fundamental difference. Okay, so how agile delivery is unique from traditional delivery? First thing is freedom, right? It's not about going at an incredible speed to a point that we don't want to go. It's all about pivoting, right? When we see the market, the Jivan and Michael also talk about this, how the markets are changing. If you do not listen to these trends, right, what would happen to, like it happened to the Nokia or BlackBerry, right? So it's not just only the speed, it's also being able to pivot. And that's why Agile talk about welcome change and requirements, even a late in development. Nice to say, but if you're ready to do that, what you need to deliver working software frequently from couple of weeks to couple of months. Now that was written about 22 years ago. That's why now the frequency becomes sometimes days or even minutes, right? Not just in weeks. And if you really want to do that, right? If you really want to do that, you need to have an autonomous team, self-managed. You need to have, you can't be having a supervisor and telling people to what to do and how to do that. That's why we talk about individuals and interactions over processes, and tools are important, that people come together, self-managed, to innovate and deliver working software. So one thing, right, beyond the speed an agile delivery offers is freedom for the customers to pivot, right? Pivot. And the next thing that agile delivery offers is growth. This is something that I really appreciate about agile delivery. If you want to really convince a customer, not a fake convince, but if you want to really explain, understand, give clarity for what agile delivery makes unique from traditional delivery, is your vendor, your software vendor becomes a strategic partner for your business growth, actually. Because we talk about, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. It's not just that giving software services in agile, right? It's not just that giving offering software services. We talk about, we are uncovering better ways of developing software. By doing it, helping others to do it. So there is more focus on growth. It's not just that delivering some set of features. It's all about the growth. And that's why the agile manifestos talk about, at regular intervals, the team reflects. When I say team, it's not just the development team. You know who are the part of an agile team. Let's take Scrum. You have the Scrum Master, the team, the development team, and the product owner. So product owner represents the customers, right? So it's not just that when that the development team inspect and adapt, it's also the customer and the team inspect and adapt, right? At regular intervals, the team reflects on how to deliver, become more effective, and tunes them and adjust their behavior accordingly. And that's all about responding to change over following a plan. So if you want to share one thing that agile delivery offers to the clients over speed, right? Speed is anyway, no doubt, it has to be there. But beyond that, another thing is growth. Okay, right. And the third is meaning. What's the point? What's the point that we build simply products to get profits? Is it just the reason that we build products, right? Is it just the reason the organizations exist to have only profits? The world is really expanding beyond, the focus is expanding beyond profits. While profit is very important, it is also important that you understand what is your ultimate purpose that you really want to deliver to the world. It's about profits, but it's also about people, planet, and the purpose. Because we talk a lot about sustainability, right? So then your product should not only oriented from making profits, but also about catering value to the people, the planet, and the purpose. And that's why Agile talk about agile processes promote sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. And how we do that, right? By having working software as the primary measure of progress. Rather than so many documentations, right? You use your primary measure of progress towards your purpose, your your people is a working piece of software. And for you to do that, it's really important that without considering the customer as like the approver, right? Approver for your features, it's important that we build unique, innovative relationships with your customer. Become a partner rather than a service provider. It's important that you become a partner to co-create products with the customer. That's all about when we are saying customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So these are the three things that an agile delivery partner or a software vendor could provide, the real business value that you can provide over speed, the freedom, the growth, and meaning. That's why I love Agile. Not to say that you can't have traditional development. As I mentioned, that we always need these options as well, right? Because it depends on what your customer need as well, right? But I'm saying if you're really becoming an agile delivery partner, it's important that you understand you are a strategic partner for your customer, a growth partner. That's the most important thing that you deliver. Okay, let's see where we are and how are you doing at this point of time. Are there any questions, any opinions?
Still not, Charlie. If you have questions, you can ask on the Q&A session and the chat as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. In that case, I am moving on, right? Right. So let's see. So dealing with risks of delivering value in VUCA world. Now it's nice to deliver value, feels so good, but it all comes with a risk. What kind of risks actually are we dealing? What kind of risks are we really dealing when we deliver value in highly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world? I would like to give a minute for you to think about this. What risks are we really taking when we deliver value? Because I told Agile is for brave hearts, because you take a lot of risk when you do this. What risks are we taking? Okay, so to name few, first thing is delivery risk. When we say when we deliver something on time, can we deliver that? When we say we are going to deliver something, can we deliver that on time? Second is market risk. Okay, now we deliver it, we launch it. But what if it's crashed down again, right? Are we really delivering something that is useful, valuable to the customer? Is it something required, needed by the customers or your users? That is the market risk, right? And the third and the most neglected risk, but very important risk is that we are dealing is social risk. Can we work as a team? Can we work as a team? Can we work with our external stakeholders? Can we work with our third-party vendors? Right? You heard that Michael in this is keynote talk about it's not just technology transformation. It's not technology succeeding. It's all about people, right? Right? Because it's end of the day, all these technologies are driven by people. So can we work as a team while we have all the product backlogs and sprint planning and reviews and retrospectives and AI and machine learning? Can we work as a team to optimize this technology? Right? These are the three risks that we are really dealing with when you are trying to deliver value in a VUCA world. Delivery risk, market risk, and social risk. Okay, and when you are dealing with this kind of risks, it's really important to have feedback loop where you are constantly thinking about what you have done and how you could be doing it better. It's not me who says that, it's Elon Musk, right? And the best way to bring life to this feedback loop is incremental delivery. Incremental delivery, incremental development, incremental delivery. right? And I'm sure this is very much familiar to you because Agile is all about incremental delivery and the development and delivery, right? So Scrum is a framework which offers a kind of a container and guidelines for incremental delivery, right? Now let's try to understand the real essence of that. Okay, so that's why we say Scrum is a lightweight framework that help people, teams, and organizations to generate value through adaptive solutions and complex problems for complex problems. Now it's really need to understand you really to understand how Scrum is unique from traditional development. Because otherwise, we all familiar with the term sprint. So you put some work to the sprint and say, now we practice Scrum. That will really not give you the edge, the real edge of using Scrum or the incremental delivery. It's not, the intention is not to do some work, to assign some work and ensure that your teams are 100% allocated. They are busy and we are getting money for the salaries that we pay. That's not the intention of Scrum. It's not that. The easiest thing, by the way, that you can do is, now you still have a very traditional, long, lengthy plan and the scope of work. What you do is, the easiest thing is that you just break it down into 2 weeks and say, hey, we practice Scrum. That is where Scrum fail so sadly. It is not, Scrum is not a place to finish some work. Now, that is the difference that you need to understand when we are dealing with risks to deliver value. Okay, right. So I'm not intending to talk about entire Scrum. That's not the purpose, but I'm specifically trying to talk about how you deliver value and dealing with risks in the VUCA world. How you do that only, right? So Scrum introduced just one constraint. What is that constraint? At least 30 days. The maximum length of a sprint is 4 weeks, right? So at least 30 days, the team must produce a usable version of product that could be shipped to the customer or tested in the real world. These are not PowerPoint presentations, right? It should be useful to the customer, usable version of the product. Either you should be able to ship to the customer, that is the best case, but in minimum, they should be tested in a real world, which means a production environment or production similar environment. That's what explained here. So you have a product goal, right? Every products need to have a vision and a product goal. And every sprint is an opportunity for you to develop and deliver a usable version of a product which take you one step forward towards that product goal. And we call that version a potentially shippable product increment. I invite you to think about the recent product increments that you deliver, how much it qualifies to this statement. Okay. So at the beginning of every sprint, Scrum team plans what brings value, and end of the sprint, team reviews with stakeholders what really brought value and what's our direction, right? So how do you really manage the risk is that at the beginning of every sprint, team plans what brings value, and at the end, team reviews it with the stakeholders, not internal stakeholders, but stakeholders who can really represent the market risk, right? What brought value and what will bring value. This is very important. That's the whole purpose of having sprint planning and the review, right? Now, what happens here when you do that? This enables fine-grained decision making about what to do next, right? It enables the whole conversation, all these agile, the Scrum events you call with a sprint review, retrospective, planning, refinement, daily Scrum is about decision making, right? Why we need to make decisions? Because we are rapidly learning from failures. Because failure is an option in Agile as much as in SpaceX, right? Failure is an option here because if things are not failing, you are not innovating enough. Okay, so that's the whole purpose. You do all these things, right? You stand up in the daily stand up, you feel all the Jira, all these things. But if the Scrum events are not enabling fine grained decision making and rapidly learning from failures, then you can't give your customers that freedom, growth, and meaning. Okay, right. And what happens here at the end of the day is, if you really do like this, they are incrementally, while you deliver incrementally value, you are incrementally minimizing the delivery risk, the social risk, and the market risk in the product development. That's the whole point of having sprint planning, review, retrospectives, daily scrums. All these things are really find decision making and risk management opportunities for you to inspect and adapt from, rapidly learn from the failures. That's the whole point. Okay, right. So let's see where we are, and also a quick time check. Anupama,
Oh,
according to my timing,
yes,
we have
it's
till
like
5
a
o'clock.
45 minutes your session, Janani. But you can continue like
Do I have
another
time
five.
till 15?
Sorry?
Do I have time till 5:15? Just a quick time check.
Yes,
Uh,
5:15. Yeah, until the 5:15.
yes. Okay, cool. Right.
Okay.
Okay, then let's move on. Okay, so we talked about the incremental delivery, and the most important vehicle for you to deliver increments, the incremental delivery, is a product increment. Now, here is a serious question from you. I'm sure if most of you are in the audience are from Bistec, I'm sure you already practice Agile. I know this is a fact that you practice Agile. But how many of you really gone through the definition of product increment in Scrum Guide? Because this is the fundamental component that really deliver value to the customer, the product increment, right? How many of you really have understood, not just reading the theory, I'm asking, really understood what is a product increment and how it's really going to value to your work? Now, this is a bit of a time to think, okay? Because I'm going to ask a question. What is a product increment? What is a product increment? Okay. And what characteristics that qualifies a piece of work performed by Scrum team to be really a product increment? Okay. What is a product increment? First question is, what is a product increment? And what characteristics that qualifies a piece of work? Now, in your development teams, you do a lot of things. No, you analyze, you design, you test, you do a lot of work. But for a piece of work you perform in Scrum team to be really called a product increment, what characteristics really need to be qualified, right? I will be stop sharing for a minute because I invite you to think for about a minute, right? Okay. I just stop sharing for a minute. Right, let's see. Let's take a moment for you to think.
Welcome to the stage.
Okay, so what is a product increment and what characteristics that qualify a product, your piece of work, to be really a product increment?
I actually think it's really.
Okay, I will put the question in the chat as well. Okay, these are the two questions. What is a product increment? Okay, let's see if we get any questions. What is a product increment? And what characteristics that really qualifies? Yes, we are getting answers. Increment is a small part of final product, which should be in a deliverable state. Okay, it's tested features that can be delivered to outcomes. Beautiful. So as you are thinking and sharing, I'm going to show you a quick video which gives you possibly the best example and explanation of product increment. Okay. And it's a video. In case if you don't hear the sound, let me know. Okay. And this may, if you have put the full sound, you may hear it well, maybe too loud also. So make sure that it won't distract you. Okay. Right. By the way, this is a talk by the SpaceX VP Kiko, right? You can, I will share the full video. It's so amazing to listen if you have not. Let's see if you can hear it. In case if you don't hear, please let me know.
Really important to talk about our full name, and that's Space Exploration Technologies. And the reason for that is most people think we're a rocket company. We're actually an exploration company.
Can you all hear?
Yes, Janani, we can hear.
I also like to say we're an infrastructure company. It just so happens that the place we want to go explore and the infrastructure we want to build it is on another planet and on other celestial bodies, right? So obviously our focus is on transportation, but that's really the core of our company, is to be explorers and to push human boundaries and technologies farther than they've ever gone before. With that said, we got to get there. So our current focus is on building rockets and vehicles. Now, I'm going to show you the family we've got of vehicles. First, a human for reference. Next, the Millennium Falcon, about 35 meters. Honestly, always felt bigger on Star Wars to me. In the middle is Falcon 9. That's our main rocket, the one we're flying every day, and the one we're going to talk a little bit about and how it really accelerated launch rate. The reason it's called the Falcon, by the way, is actually named after Millennium Falcon. And the reason it's called Falcon 9 is because we have 9 Merlin engines that power it. On top of Falcon, you can either put a Dragon, that's a capsule that can take cargo or crew to the International Space Station or low Earth orbit, or you can put a fairing, which basically means you can fly any sort of satellite or payload that you want, depending on where you want to go. Falcon Heavy is basically 3 Falcon 9s put together. It's 27 engines. It's really meant for super heavy satellites or maybe something that's interplanetary that you want to send to Jupiter or Mars. And then last but not least, Starship. Starship, for scale, is basically just Falcon Heavy or Falcon 9 fits on just the top part of Starship, right? Starship's got the vehicle on top plus the super heavy booster. Now, all of these vehicles, the place we've put most of our innovation has been in reusability and making rockets reusable. Falcon 9 is an evolutionary technology when it comes to reusability. Starship will fundamentally change the game and change the way we live and will truly set us up to be a spacefaring civilization. Yeah. So let's focus on Falcon now for a little bit. So we're gonna try to keep this as least not technical as possible, and we'll go quick through that part. But basically, a rocket's 3 parts. The first stage, that's from where the engines are to the top of the black part. That's the part that basically gets you up out of the atmosphere and starts to accelerate you to orbit. Second stage, that's that part from the top of the black part to basically where those 2 clamshells are. That's the second stage. That's the part that delivers the payload to the orbit it's going to get. And then there's the fairings. The fairings are just 2 halves. They sit on top of the satellite and they protect you when you're on the pad and as you're going through the atmosphere before they deploy and fall back to Earth. Now, when you if you build an airplane's fully reusable, right? You fly a flight from LAX to Miami, the plane lands, the people get off, the maintenance crew comes out, they refuel the plane, it takes off, people get back on, it takes off. Now, imagine if that plane flew from LAX to Miami, and along the way, the wings fell off, the tail fell off, other half of the plane fell off, and the only thing that landed at the end of the runway was just the fuselage with the people in it, right? You just spent $250 million on a one-way trip. It's kind of like not very scalable and not very affordable. Fundamentally, that's what rockets have been for effectively the last 50 years until Falcon 9 came around, right? And what we started doing is figure out how to land that first stage. And by figuring out how to land that first stage and land those fairings and bring them back and start reusing that hardware, we are able to fundamentally start to accelerate what launch looked like. So let's kind of walk through the history of all the launches we've been doing. So we started with just this little itty bitty rocket called Falcon 1 that we launched off an island in the South Pacific called Omelek early on in 2008 and 2009. Then we built our pads at the Cape, just 3 hours north of here, at Slick 40 and 39, 2 historic launch pads, and also one out in Vandenberg, Slick 4E. Now, we had 2 launches in 2010, but we were fundamentally limited because we had to basically produce all of the hardware. We weren't able to catch the rockets. We weren't able to go reuse the vehicles yet. And that really slowed our pace. So you kind of see like 2012, launch 1, we launched 2, we're still learning. 2013, okay, maybe we can start to launch a couple more. Still a huge gap. We go through some development challenges, a couple of failures. 2014, 15, we start to pick up the pace a little bit. Then we have an accident. That accident, unfortunately, slows us down for a little bit, right around where we stopped here after 2015. But then when we get back to flight on 2016, for the first time, the rocket comes down, and it comes down in one piece. And as soon as that happens, we start to pick our pace up. Because all of a sudden, you went from having to produce all of these machines to being able to reuse, refly, and just focus on maintaining the ones you have. All of a sudden, throwing a rocket away became an unacceptable thing to do. And our pace picked up faster and faster and faster. But even just go back to 2019, we really only ended up launching like 15, 16 times until we had this dire need, which we'll talk about shortly, which was we had a satellite internet constellation that we really wanted to launch. We needed to launch a lot of satellites. We needed to launch it very, very fast. So we put an immense focus on picking that pace up even more. Focus on our usability, go faster and faster and faster, more launches, from a launch every 2 weeks to a launch every week to a launch every 5 days to, by the end of last year and the start of this year, a launch every 4 and 3 days. We're launching so fast that I made these charts last week and they're already out of date because we've added 2 flights to this. So over the history, since we started launching rockets, we've flown 224 missions, 184 boosts.
All right. So I really invite you to go through the whole video, right? It's running the algorithm by SpaceX approach for exponential growth. You can find this in YouTube, right? So I'm coming back to the PowerPoint. Okay, I hope you can see the PowerPoint, right? So the SpaceX is an epitome of incremental delivery. And the piece of video that you just saw is the incremental evolution of Falcon 9. Right, you saw how they introduced the Falcon 9, the product and the product increments, right? So this is the source, right? I really honor this person as well as the how the SpaceX is doing all this amazing incremental delivery at SpaceX. Okay, so one thing that you really need to take care of is go and even have a look at your latest increment. Maybe you are currently in a sprint or you just finished a sprint. Check whether your product increment is really qualified for these 5 or 6 things. First of all, it has to be usable condition. And that's why you have acceptance criteria, right? So acceptance criteria are conditions offered by the customer to say, okay, these are in a decently usable condition. You may not deliver entire value in a one sprint, no, because value is generative over the couple of sprints, right? That's why we need feedback. That's why we reduce market risk gradually, but it has to be usable. So that's why you have acceptance criteria. It has to be releasable. You may not release, because releasing is a decision, is a strategic decision, but it has to be releasable. If your customer wants it, it has to be in releasable state, and it has to be done. And it's a binary word. It's done, done. Not like it works in my machine. It's 90% done. No, it's done, done, right? And also the product increment is the increments of previous sprints, right? It's not just that this increment, it has to be integrated, it has to be tested in all these integrations, right? And still working, right? That is the most important. Otherwise, when you introduce a one product increment this sprint and all the previous increments are failing, that's not an increment. And also, it's the sum of all the done product backlog items. This is important. Sum of all done product backlog items. That's why we very particular to say the product owner needs to work with the developers to really understand whether the product backlog item is done, and then take it to the sprint review. You are not demonstrating the undone work, right? Or you're not even representing undone product increment. So you really need to understand when you really to say a product increment, right? The whole purpose of sprint is to deliver a small version of usable product increment, which is shippable, releasable, done to the customer at the end of the sprint, not to finish some work, not to finish some work. This is the one fundamental problem why Scrum fails. Well, it is not also Scrum failing. Misunderstanding how Scrum works is to allocate some work, something from one project, another thing from another project, somehow ensure the teams are 100% allocated, and to say this sprint we finished this work. Now, that's not the intention of Scrum. Of course, you can choose to do that, right? But that doesn't mean it's Scrum, right? So try to understand even this point. This can really make difference in how you look at increments, okay? And these are some graphical representation about increment, right? So each increment is additive to all prior increments. It's not just that one increment, okay? You can see the first way is the wrong way of making incremental delivery. You do all the integrations only on the fourth sprint. It's not like that. Every sprint is you generate value by making them integrated in every sprint, the previous increments. That's how you deliver value in every sprint, not like the one that you see first. And also, work cannot be considered part of an increment unless it meets the definition of done. I told definition of done is a binary word, right? But that's not the case all the time. It starts with like, okay, I'm 90% done. It's work in my machine. Now that's not really a done, but it's okay to get started with that because you may not be perfect, right? It's more important to start where you are and keep focusing on evolving your definition of done to real done, which is not just not 90% working. It should be functionally working. It should be reliable, which means integrated, automated, and inspected. Then it's be usable, which means deployed, reviewed, deployed, and finally it has to be valuable, right? It has to be valuable and optimized. So over the period of time, having continuous attention to technical excellence only, you can have a mature definition of done. Let's start with where you are, but have a very strong focus. What does it mean to be done in our teams, in our products, in our product increments, and how we can really improve that to make it really a useful, usable version of product. Okay, right. So we are coming to the last point, but if you see if there are any questions, Anupama, you can let me know if there are any questions, else I will be moving forward. So true assessment.
Still not.
Okay, right. So we are moving the true essence of incremental delivery, right? The true essence of incremental delivery, taking an example from SpaceX itself. I told that this is inspired from the talk by Kiko Donchev that he talks about how they are running the algorithm to have an exponential growth in SpaceX. What they say is make the requirements less dumb. What they're saying is challenge the constraint and challenge the requirements. Don't just take the requirement just because in a specification. Keep asking who, for whom these requirements are for, who is giving these requirements and why is it important. Keep challenging and change them when they are not relevant, right? And it's quite aligned with the Agile Manifesto. Agile Manifesto talk about welcome changing requirements even in the late in the development, because you need to keep asking who needs this and why they need that. And for to do that, business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project, right? And then Kiko says that delete the part or process step, which means the engineers, we are, so I'm also coming, my background is engineering, right? So we are very good at solving problems, but are we solving right problems or even necessary problems, right? Keep asking, is it a right problem to even to solve? Otherwise you spend a lot of effort on solving a problem that is not required by the client itself, right? And how you do that? How do you know whether we are solving right problems? Is, as Agile Manifesto says, deliver working software frequently in couple of weeks, couple of months. Now it's not about anymore at months, it's about days and hours. Okay, right. So a good example is that when you watch the video, you will find this out, right? So the payload fairings in SpaceX rockets, right? This is the payload fairings are like, those are like shrouds, those are like metal covers, right? They are like metal covers that protects the satellite during the launch, which cost about 6 million each, right? So when they are descending back, so SpaceX thought they need to, you know, catch them, right? Because each one is 6 million, right? About cost 6 million, right? So they really need to catch those fairings so they can reuse it. So what you see in this picture is that SpaceX is using a boat to catch those fairings, the fairing payloads, in a giant net so they can reuse it. This is 2017. So that's the problem, right? These fairings cost about 6 million and they really want to reuse it, right? So they're finding ways how to protect them. Now, the thing is, that's a problem, but is it a right problem to solve? So it's good that they ask why. Do we really need to solve this? Right? Because later on, they understood they really don't need to catch these fairings because they are good at floating. Right? So they, what happens is over the period of time, after many experiments, now they are not using boats or these nets to catch them because they have built in a way that they can float in the sea, right? So that way, the SpaceX is recovering 99% of the rocket fairing from 2020 to 2023. Isn't that amazing, right? And that's what we say at regular intervals. The team reflects how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts behavior accordingly. But if you keep busy, right, 100% allocated and keep yourself busy, would you ever ask these right questions? Right? So a lot of experiments need to be happen while you are delivering the software and delivering while a lot of experiment R&D need to take place, right? So coming back to the algorithm, then they also talk about optimize. So it's important that you do the first two things, right? Run step 1 and step 2, right? And then optimize. You should not optimize something really complex, right? You should make your requirements less dumb, right? You should ask why, you should simplify your process and then optimize. That's what SpaceX says, right? So how that Agile Manifesto talk about is simplicity. If you look at the Agile principle, they talk about simplicity is art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. And then it talk about accelerate. It says you can always go faster than you think. You may be surprised when what happens when you challenge people. You need to challenge people. It's very important, right, that you challenge people to do more, do better, but it's also important when you challenge, you need to start building individuals, right, motivated individuals in projects. And also, it's not about only motivating individuals. You need to shift from thinking individuals to the team, because best architectures designs are coming from self-organizing teams. That is a fundamental responsibility of the leadership, how to motivate individuals and how to create self-managed teams. And finally, automate. Automation is very important, but it's important that you follow the before steps, the previous steps, right? Otherwise, again, you will automate a really complex thing, right? That's not the intention. Automation comes last step, and it's very important that you automate, but it is also important that before that you make your requirements list down, keep on asking why, simplifying and optimizing, then you automate. You should automate what really matters. It's not about automate everything, but automate what really matters. And that's why Agile says continuous attention to technical lessons enhance design. Right. So yes, now this is what the SpaceX says, how they achieve exponential growth, which is very much aligned to what Agile Manifesto says. That's why I say the SpaceX is an epitome of agility, the incremental delivery, and that's the true essence. Maybe they don't have sprint planning, they don't have reviews, retrospectives in the way that Scrum says, but this is the real essence, right? Ask yourself how incremental you are, your teams, your product delivery, and how you are looking these 5 steps in SpaceX. Because one last note is the product owners. Product owners make a huge difference in incremental delivery. While all the roles are important, Scrum Masters, teams are, and product owners have a huge responsibility to inspire your people, because some product owner says, I'm a product guy. Of course, you're a product guy, but you have to be a people guy as well, because the people with great passion can make the impossible happen. Okay, so because product owner is accountable to maximize the value of the product resulting from Scrum team. So if your Scrum team can't open up, if you're not giving space for innovation, if you're not giving space for conversations, just work, 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 you may not be able to get this real freedom, growth, and meaning for your customers. And that is one thing the Business Agility Fellowship Sri Lanka, which is I'm co-founding, is trying to offer, because there are lots of great ideas about your next product or your next team, about your next organization. You go with all these ideas, maybe without a fear. You may not share all these things in the boardroom. Your great ideas should not die in the boardroom, right? So we are offering collaborative spaces, right? Safe and collaborative spaces for you to talk about your next idea, your next thought about creating business values in your organization. And that's the Business Agility Fellowship Sri Lanka offers safe and collaborative spaces for that. And you will hear us about that soon in the community. Okay, right. So we're coming to the end, and we talk about Agile is for brave hearts, right? And the most important thing is that the product owners become really visionary leaders and inspiring teams to do this, to be really brave, to like how the SpaceX deliver the exponential growth to their customers, right? And when we talk about this, that it's not only SpaceX, it's not only the Elon Musk. Our country had many inspiring visionary leaders. I hope you remember who is this. This is King Parakramabahu. And he had a great vision. Not even little water that comes from the rain must flow into the ocean without being made useful for men. So I'm thanking the Hearts Academy for giving me the opportunity to share these thoughts. The whole intention is how we deliver growth, the value, the freedom, and meaning to your customers. This is not something new. You can see that we had such leaders, we had such people to do that. I think this is the time that we speak to our heart again, to kindle that passion, to kindle that vision, so we can really deliver freedom, growth, and meaning to our customers. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll be stop sharing. And if there's any questions, okay, I think I stopped sharing. If there are any questions, I can answer as well. And yeah, let's see. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. But you can always be in touch. I know it's getting to the bottom of the hour. If you have any questions, you know that you can connect me on LinkedIn. I'm Janani Liyanage. You can connect me on LinkedIn and ask any questions. I'm very happy to support. Yes, thank you
Okay.
so much, Sama and Janani.
Thank you, Janani. And today we're truly fortunate to have had the chance to hear from an incredible Agile practice speaker, Janani. I want to take a moment to express our heartfelt thanks for sharing your knowledge and insights with us. And I personally learned also so much from your presentation previously, and we had in Bistec. And today I could improve lots. Your passion for Agile shines through, and you have made complex idea easy to understand. I know our project team so excited to take these ideas back to our projects and teams. And your talk isn't just informative, it's inspiring. Okay. Again, thank you, Janani, for the amazing session that left us excited and enlightened and ready to take Agile to new heights.